live. We are live. Welcome to this week's Thursday's Cosmic Conversations. If you're joining us, my name is Stacy Harder with my mother, Dr. Heather Harder, who is in her own right. Okay, she's telling me to shut up. I can see by her noises. Anyways, we are gathered here in this place. If you'd like to join us in Zoom, please do. We are live from there, and it's a question and answers of cosmic conversation, so kind of anything and everything. And my hope and mission is that this conversation allows you to know that you are never alone on this journey, in this process, and that you have people like us to come and play with. All right, go ahead, Heather Harder.
Well, thank you, Stacy Harder. It's so nice to have you give me permission to talk. I'm sure that is a very significant move on both of our parts. For those who don't know, Stacy and I have been together many lifetimes, and she often forgets which is the mother and which is the daughter this go round. So occasionally I have to remind her, in this lifetime, I get to be the mother and she gets to be the child, although she's never played that role well. So with that, for those who've been with us before, know that we always start by asking for the significant things that we want, which is protection, guidance, and truth. And going on this planet right now, I suggest that you make that your morning affirmation. You wake up and say, oh, it's a great day. And so today, make sure that I'm divinely protected, divinely guided, and I recognize and implement truth at every level. As easy as that. I'm going to say a little bit longer version, but again, it's the intention, not the verbiage, that makes the difference. Ask, trust, believe. So I ask for divine protection, guidance, and the ability to recognize and integrate truth. I release all that is not truth and neutralize all distractions or obstacles on my divine path to greatness. And you're all on a divine path to greatness. Every word I speak or thought I think is a reflection of my truth. Every day, in every way, my ability to discern truth, protection, and divine guidance, as well as my willingness to accept them, grows. I accept truth, protection, and guidance where and how I find it, peacefully, joyfully, and harmoniously, integrating them into my totality. Let my path of truth take me ever closer to my greatest potential. I am the love, strength, wisdom, courage, and perseverance required to walk my path of honor for now and evermore. If you'd like a copy of that, just email me at heather@heatherharder.com and I'll be happy to send it to you. I posted my Facebook links many times. And these are just the words that I was guided to write. It is not a unique version, any version that allows, that asks those things are important. And you can also ask for joy, trust, prosperity, whatever it is that you want, but you have to ask. If you don't ask, you don't get. The Bible says, ask and ye shall receive. That's really important. Asking is probably the single most important thing you can ask for. And right now on this planet, we have a lot of conflicting, churning energies going on. I'm sure you felt it and have maybe been impacted by it. So it's really important that you keep remembering that your job is to be that center of the storm, to be that place of balance and peace and serenity and courage and all those other things as well. This is the time we came for. This is the divine plan in the manifestation. This is not something to run away and hide from. This is something to embrace and go, I prepared for this. I know what to do, even though it's the first time it's ever happened on this planet. You are here to aid the transformation of the planet. We've been hearing it, and you thought it was going to be easy. Ha, 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 ha. We're now shifting up, shaking up, breaking up all the old energies of corruption, greed, dysfunction. We're seeing what it looks like when it's all chunked up, and then we are literally building a new mindset built on integrity and truth and greater good and divine will as it moves into the new world. Not going to happen quick, not going to happen easy. The energy of all of this isn't subtle. I wish I had, the ability to go in there and say, okay, just settle down so I can read you. But the energy is just like this huge pit of snakes that keeps changing and mutating and molding. So I have no clue what's going to come with it. But it certainly is going to be an interesting journey to watch. As soon as I get something, I will pass it on. And as I said earlier, on Sunday nights, 6 p.m., we're going to be doing a Zoom call that just deals with the political milieu that's going on the planet. And there's a lot going on both in front of our face and then behind the scenes. So on Sunday nights, we'll have full conversation and create a place to share information and do what we can do to help settle the energy, bringing about peace, harmony, joy, etc. Okay, that's our first agenda item, because we ask for truth, protection, guidance. Very important. Then our second agenda item is where we play with the light. As light workers or light players, we came to this planet to maximize and use the light. We are the light, we have the divine light working through us. We have all sorts of access to others who are serving this planet, so we pull in their light as well, and we literally shine them in all the dark corners on the planet. And the dark corners are sort of metaphorical because we really are in a round planet. But with that being said, we're going to play with the light, and we send light and do light as I give instructions, and I give instructions different each time based on what I'm guided to do. But also, as I'm giving instructions, feel free to do other things. You can add, you can use the light in other ways as well. You're not locked into just what I say and do, but it is about recognizing the power of our intention when we use this light for greater good. Before we start that, is there any questions, any requests, any? And I'm looking for electronic hands or the old-fashioned hands, either way. So, and I'm seeing no hands, so I'm seeing no.
Just add a little, I know you probably will, but just to add a little extra love and light around the whole DC, and it really affects the world, but just
beforehand, I always check in to see what we need to zap. So I've got a whole list of new things to zap this week.
Okay.
Okay. And then Stacy also monitors the Facebook and not Facebook, YouTube and Instagram, and shares any messages or any comments there. But again, for the people online, is you don't get a spirit sprinkle unless you're on the call. So I don't choose to read your energy unless you're on the call, and you can be a part of the conversation.
Can I just say something real quick?
Yes, that's why I put that opportunity out there. What would you like to say, Christina?
Today I went outside, I was at work, so I went outside to just, feel the air, the sun. And I thought it was going to be feel like turmoil, but it actually felt just like completely still, like everyone took a pause for a moment. And like in my area, at least, like that's what I felt like. Everyone it was just like, all right, let's just let's just stop for a minute. Like, let's just breathe and just put everything on pause for a minute. Tomorrow could be different. That's just what I felt today. Like everyone's just so like, all right, it's over. Whatever it is happens. And let's just chill for a moment.
It's all divinely perfect.
Yeah, but that's it.
Thank you. Did you say something, Stace?
I was asking her if it felt like the calm before the storm.
Probably. Yeah, probably. I wasn't going too far into the storm. I was just focused on the moment and just grateful that it was just calm. Just like, everyone just needed a minute to just stop it, just stop it. Because
Well,
I live in a very democratic area, very, very.
one of the most powerful mantras you can say is, this is a day that God has made. Rejoice and be glad. That little statement, which is appreciation and gratitude and everything all rolled into one, is probably the most powerful sentence that you can verbiage. So anytime you're out and you're feeling anything, just, this is a day that God has made. Rejoice and be glad, and really mean it 3 times is powerful. More than that is just redundant, but you can do it as many times as you want. 1 is all that's needed if that's in perfect belief. But
Thank
there's
you.
some people.
Thank you. Yeah, I was grateful. I said I did. I said thank you, but that's great.
Gratitude is a very powerful energy, and so even when things are falling apart around you, if you can be grateful, it makes such a difference. In Egypt, there's a word called Alhamdulillah, and I'm probably mispronouncing it, but it's close enough. Alhamdulillah, and it basically means like, thank God, rejoice. It's a celebratory word they say all the time. But I was in a taxi, and if you've never ridden in Egypt, that alone is an act of bravery. The cars go 100 miles an hour. There may be 3 lanes in the road and 6 lanes of traffic. There's cars on the sidewalk, and there's cars in between cars, and there's no rules they follow. It actually has more accidents per capita than any other country in the world. And by their driving, that's true. But anyway, I'm in this cab. We're going a zillion miles an hour over this bridge with these cars inches away from you in every direction. They don't signal or give any indication like that. They toot their horn. And so you have to know the code for tooting the horn. And you kind of watch the cars in front of you, and the cars in the side and back toot horns to tell you when they cross across 6 lanes of traffic, or when they're going to do something. So you got this constant horn honking. And again, 100 miles an hour with these cars inches apart. And we're going over this bridge, and the car dies. And everything else is going zzz. And he goes, Alhamdulillah. And it's like, no, this is not an Alhamdulillah. This is not an Alhamdulillah. And he is getting out and pushing this dead car across several lanes of traffic with the car zooming around him. And he's just as cheerful as can be. And I said, this is not a good thing. And he goes, oh, yes. He said, we're fine. He said, and if this happened to someone else, they might have gotten hurt. So I am very grateful. And it's like, ugh. And so he calls another cab. And so I get into another cab. And when I say call another cab, he doesn't do it with the phone. He just gets out in the middle of the street and flags one down. And so I start to get in it, and he gets in with me. And I said, where are you going? And he says, I'm going with you. You are in my charge. I have to see that you get to the location safely. And so he took me to my location before he came back and got to this car. But the entire time, he's just cheerful as can be. Alhamdulillah. And I thought, what a mindset, that you can be grateful for these things that I would have gone, not so thrilling, because it happened to you. And it could have happened to someone who wouldn't have handled as well, or couldn't afford it, or whatever. But he was very grateful this happened to him. That's gratitude in full action. So when you have that moment of clarity, or you have the chaos unfolding around you, just, this is a day that God has made. Rejoice and be glad. And if you can remember the word Alhamdulillah, it's the perfect word for it. Anybody else want to comment or say anything before we do our little light work?
It's my favorite.
Don't move around. Say in one place so I can get on the mic, and then say it.
I said, this is my favorite part. One of my favorite.
Okay.
But I just love that the grounded, sacred, yummy.
Okay. There we go. This is Stacy's favorite part. All right, so with this, we're going to go to our center, and that's an imaginary place. Your imagination is what you create with. It is very powerful. Going to your happy place, your sacred place, That's your center. So have the intention of going to center. And if you're very, very aware, you'll feel yourself just sort of like a lock that falls into alignment. You'll feel it tumble. You'll feel the energy just get a little bit more subtle. So move to center, take a breath, and then just imagine the universal energy from the heavens above coming down to you and through you into the earth. And then your energy is also going into the earth, deep and wide, like roots of a very big old tree. And in this process, you are the go-between heaven and earth. You are here to anchor heaven to earth. When you go to center, that's what you're doing. You're centering yourself between these incredible forces. There's no right or wrong way to do it. The intention is everything. I close my eyes just because I like to move away from the distractions. The eyes are not magic. Eyes can be opened or closed. It doesn't make any difference. You are all powerful. It is not the ritual you create around it that creates the power. And as you're in this flow of light from heaven to earth and back again, just imagine the light that you are growing brighter and brighter. I imagine it from my solar plexus and just spreading out, encompassing my body, growing bigger and brighter. And then we're going to imagine all of us on this call, both on the online or on the Zoom. We're just going to imagine the light that we are combining and growing brighter. We can become more powerful when we gather. And then we're going to ask all those of like mind in every dimension that supports this planet and its transformation to join us in this exercise where our light grows brighter and brighter still. And then we're going to imagine laying on our belly on this planet. This earth feels everything that humanity is doing, is going through, says, feels. And she is sometimes quite uncomfortable. Today, we're just going to imagine hugging her, laying belly to belly on this planet, and then sending our love down into the planet, in, on, and around her with our love, filling every cell, every creature, every rock, every plant, everything in, on, and around her with our love. Where there's a void, where there's a cave or a tunnel on this planet, we're going to fill it with love so that she is one solid mass of love, unconditional, all accepting energy. Light, love, God carry the same vibration. And then we're going to amplify that love and light and send it out into the atmosphere. The atmosphere is a very important layer around this planet. It protects the earth. It keeps her safe, just like our skin does to our body. And we love it. On this planet, there are a lot of beings who are trying to sabotage our beloved Mother Earth and her atmosphere. They have a different agenda, and we're going to love all of them as well. They're attempting to interfere with the well-being of this planet, with the future of this planet, with the evolution of this planet, and they can't because it's God's plan. So our job is just to love them. And we'll ask for swift justice to occur so that our beloved mother can feel safe and relax in the light and love of humanity. We're going to send light and love to all the weather patterns on this planet. The weather patterns are a very important way that the earth finds her balance, and we're going to love them, all of them. And then all over the planet, there are people who are in hate and violence and war, who are in isolation, who are in various forms of jail. Sometimes there's bars, sometimes there's not. Sometimes there's legal, sometimes there's not. There's all kinds of reasons why humanity is being confined and held back. We're going to especially love those who are in that position of being confined now. Whether just or unjust, we're just going to love them. And we're going to love all of their jailers, all those who are responsible at any level for confining, for limiting the actions of humanity, for altering their free will for mobility, for choice. We're going to love them. And again, we're going to call in swift justice. So that they may experience what they're causing in others. And then on this planet, we have a collective consciousness that is affected by everything and anything we experience. Everyone who's ever been on this planet, whoever will be on this planet, contribute to this collective consciousness. And right now, we're going to just send it love, send it light. We're here to bring lots and lots of love and light to our journey. And anything that you may have contributed to the collection that is not representative of who you are now, you have the power to change. So imagine just flipping that energy from a lower version to a higher version, because it's your contribution and you can alter it. And right now we have a thing called COVID that is playing an active role in many, many, many people's lives. This was another form of torture, of control, of manipulation, and we're just going to love these little buggers. Just imagine every COVID virus around the planet just being loved for the lessons it brings, for the opportunities it brings, for the knowledge it brings. Just love every little virus, and then love everyone who's contributed to it, either in the creation or in the distribution or in the identification or in the healing, whatever role they've played with this COVID experience. Just love those people. Love, light, God, all carry the same vibration. And they too are part of the creation of the divine. So just love them. And right now we have lots of leaders at every level, whether it's local or state or national, whether they are coming into power, going out of power, whether they are candidates or elected to become leaders of our political system. Just imagine loving them all. Like a loving mother that would gather her children together to give them a group hug. Just imagine loving all of these political leaders, whether they deserve your love or not. Love doesn't have to be deserved. It is just shared unconditionally. Whether they are working for the greater good or their personal good. And we're going just to imagine that their intentions become known, that truth prevail, that the world recognizes their role in this process. Everyone is contributing to this drama, and it is divinely perfect. There is a plan that we've all come in to activate. We forgot the script, but we're here doing our part, and we have to just trust that what's going on is divinely perfect, part of the divine plan, and we're just going to love all the divine players, those that we appreciate and those that we don't appreciate quite so much. They're all doing their job to awaken a species of humanity, awaken them to truth, awaken them to the divine plan, to guidance, and we're just going to love them all. Just love them all. And there are those who are the leaders of the chaos. They're here shaking things up because they have an agenda that maybe nobody else on the planet has. The person will become known as the Antichrist. Those that are known as the Cabal or the Deep State or any of the other names, we're just going to love them, and ask for justice to prevail, the truth to be known, and for them to experience what they're causing on this planet according to divine will. The planet on the earth is all stirred up. The planet itself is stirred up because of all the actions, the fears that's being induced, the tactics that are being used to control and manipulate humanity. Just imagine this energy being all whipped up. And I want you just to gently blow a kiss to it. See the energy just settling down like a gentle wind after a storm. We have the power to quiet the storm. We have the power to bring calm to the chaos. We have the power to bring truth to the masses. We have the power to model our trust so that those who are choosing fear in the moment can choose something different. This is a journey. It is not going to be over in a day or a week or a month. This is a journey, and we have a lot of work to do, and we're just going to find joy in every experience. I'm going to imagine all those who've lied and deceived and manipulated or attempted to control humanity, to alter humanity's free will, which is the law of this planet. We're just going to see them bubbled in love, bubbled in our heartfelt appreciation for the role they play in this divine drama. We just love them. All those who are the recipient of these lies and deceit and control and manipulation, just imagine loving them, empowering them with truth. Imagine divine plan. Just imagine a huge map laid out in front of you that's the plan for this planet. You may see what's written, you may not, but love it. We're here to actualize it. We're here to carry it out. Each of us doing our little part, blindly often, but just trusting whatever little inch we get, whatever little hint we get, whatever spontaneous intuition we receive, that we act on it, that we trust it, that we take action in it. That we're each playing in this grand drama. And if it be your choice, again, dedicate yourself to being the right hand of God, to serving divine will, to being an instrument of this transformation, for helping to anchor heaven to earth, to bringing about harmony, to bring about peace and joy. Imagine that you're one of those divine deliverers, messengers that you bring in that energy. It isn't going to be with words. It may not even be with actions, but it certainly will be with energy that this planet is transformed, going from a lesser energy, a lower vibration, a dense energy, to one of buoyancy and love and joy. Just feel it going up and up, and you're a divine carrier of this energy. And then share your gratitude. Sometimes we forget to look around and see all the things that are right with our world and right with us and right with the people around us. But share your gratitude. Let the universe know that you're grateful for anyone and everyone in your world. Let them know how grateful you are for the sun that shines, the moon that shines, powerful energies getting out, and either one can be transformative. People you have the opportunity of being friends with, and those that no longer feel comfortable, just love them. And then finally, we ask that this energy go to everyone who needs it or wants it throughout the globe. And we give permission for the angels to use this energy in any way that serves this planet and its people. And so, knowing how universal law works, we just open ourselves to receive this energy, because what we send out must come back to us. So just now imagine taking a deep breath, opening yourself at every level and feeling this energy come back to you. To every cell of your body, every cell of your mind, every spiritual nuance is filled with this love. You are love. You are light. You are the divine made manifest. There is no one on this planet better than you, smarter than you, more spiritual than you. And there's no one less divine, less intelligent, less spiritual than you. There's lots and lots of beings at different levels of growth who may not recognize the same truths, may not recognize the same facts as facts, and that's okay. We love them too. It doesn't mean they're less than, it just means that they're on different levels of knowing. And our job is to honor their knowing to the same degree that we would like them to honor our knowing. It's not that we are right, they're wrong. That's part of the old duality. We're all in this together. And our job is to love and to model the love and to allow the love. And when you're ready, take a deep breath, anchoring the energy in you and around you. And then when you're ready, come back to the here and now, carrying this blessed energy with you, spreading it throughout the house, the apartment, the home, the building, wherever you are. Seeing it go out as a ripple through your community, through your city, through your state, through your elected officials, seeing it go out in waves, again surrounding the planet. And then come back to the here and now. Come back to the here and now when you're ready. Peaceful, serenely, joyfully. Join us back on the call. And for her back, is there anybody who wants to ask anything or say anything?
I just want to say that was awesome. That was so good.
We covered a lot of bases.
Yeah, it was so good. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, and you can do this anytime without me. So when you're feeling things stir up, just zap it with your love. Bring it into peace and harmony and serenity with your love. That's why you're here. But if you're buying into all this chaos and craziness, you're actually making points for the lesser lights. In every breath you take, you're scoring points for one team or the other. The white hats or the lesser lights.
And one of the things I do both on Instagram and YouTube is I save things that I know for me like feels good, so I can go back and watch. And so I'll have my own category to save them in, so you can always go back and re-listen. Because Mom, there's something about you and your voice that's magical and hypnotical, not hypnotical, but that's one of the things I always loved about reading as a child. You'd read me these books and they just come to life. And so there's something I find in your voice that is also that motherly soothing. And maybe I'm you are my mom.
Well, remember, we've been meeting here for years in different ways. And the first thing I tell you is your voice is a projection of your energy. So as I talk, I am sharing my energy with everybody that hears it. And when you talk, you're sharing your energy with everybody that hears it. So as you become more in control of your energy, you also become more in control of your voice. It's part of the journey. Being a professor of reading and literacy helps because I know how to read a book so it's really come to life and it's engaging. So that's another little bonus. That was a joke. Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments that they would like to ask? And thank you, Stacy, for the kind compliment on my voice. I just finished a class on how to make audio books, so I can make all my books into audiobooks. Ooh. Thank you. Anybody want to say anything or ask anything or any big issues going on? This is the conversation point. Okay.
It's already started. I've had to calm quite a few people down today. So, and I've just been telling them to have faith and trust, and everything is in divine planning. So, but your meditation and that sending all the love and energy out, it calms me down even more so, and it's so relaxing. It just feels so good, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. And has that effect for me too. People who are getting really stirred up and anxious right now, it's because they're still taking energy in. They're absorbing all of this stuff. And so they're getting all keyed up and worked up. That's an indication that they really need to put on their cosmic condom and not take on other people. You have to take control of your energy field at every level. And so if you're soaking up all this stuff, then what happens is you can be in a crowd of people who are angry, and all of a sudden you start getting angry, or you're watching the media. Thank you, media, for giving these lovely experiences. And they're talking all this fear stuff, and all of a sudden you're beginning to feel yourself moving into fear. That says you're too absorbent to the outside world. You really want to be at a place where you choose intentionally what you take in. You're always, and every part of your body is sending and receiving, always. But by receiving it, it doesn't mean you have to take it in and own it. You will perceive it. I can go into any room and know how people are feeling and reacting, and oftentimes what they're thinking. That doesn't mean that I have to take and share those emotions, share those abilities. I can maintain the integrity of my own energy even while I'm amongst crazy people.
And that right there is the key and one of the most important things for all light workers right now, to be able to stay in that sovereignty.
Yes. And, again, because I can do it doesn't mean I like to do it, which is why I gave up TV years and years and years ago. I don't watch TV. I don't subject myself to traditional media. I don't have to experience that. So I don't. I choose what I take in, but I could watch TV and hear the fear mongering that's going on and without owning it. But I'd still recognize it. I'd still be able to perceive what's going on. I just wouldn't internalize it. Yes, Christina?
It's not political, but yesterday I had an experience where I brought one of my dogs to get groomed because he's all matted from being itchy. He's young, so he has mange. Anyway, so the woman, she was so, because I wouldn't let her literally pick his entire body to look like a hairless cat. She lost her entire mind. Like, she was in my face. She had my dog in her hands. And she tried to intimidate me so much that she got in my face and ripped off her mask and started screaming at me. And my point is I was so calm and still so calm that I'm actually shocked, like, my growth through all of, everything that you've taught, and all of just, all of it, the growth that I've come to, because, to have my baby in your hand. Yeah, it was really
That's a cheer for you.
Thank you. It really awed me that I got through all of that, and then today, and I'm still not angry. Like, and I'm not nervous. I didn't cry. None of it. It just didn't affect.
For the rest of you who may not know the rest of the story, she used to get bonkers and cry and get hysterical if someone talked about her not wearing masks at her own business, and had a mask, a sort of a volunteer mask kind of thing. So she's come a long way, baby, that you can now be verbally assaulted and not let it bother you, because that's the empowerment. When your emotions, when your feelings, when everything that you are comes from the inside out. If the world can impact you, you're not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
When the world can't do anything to you, you are invincible. That's when you can totally put all your defenses down and be totally vulnerable. When you are invincible, you are vulnerable.
Yeah.
And you're living that, you're feeling that, you're seeing that. Now, what will happen is the universe will keep developing that skill at a deeper and deeper level. So it won't be too very long that we take that sacred spiral, we come back to that situation at a deeper, more intense level to do it again, only with either a more important person, a person who has more emotional connection to you. There'll be something that will up the ante a bit. And then, do you stay in your power or do you lose it?
Right.
Your choice, until no one can affect you. That's when you know you've arrived.
And I felt it, and I just kept saying to her, like, we can have a conversation. Like, why are you getting so upset? Let's just have a conversation. And she just got madder and madder. And I was like, okay, this relates.
Well, you weren't feeding her fire.
Nothing.
Okay, now the next part of that, so we're going to change it from you to her. Mm-hmm. Probably there was nothing to do with you in that anger. It was, when anyone is angry, it's because there's hurt and sadness. And so by you not acquiescing to her authority, she could have felt slighted. She could have felt disrespected. She could have felt all kinds of things that had nothing to do with you. She could have had 47 other people in her business, in a grooming business, that were horrible to her, and she held it in, so she would vent it on you. So the more you move into that place, the more the universe will arrange people to use you as their vent, as their mirror. And as long as you don't own it, no problem. I can't tell you the times I mirror people's anger. And I'm so sweet and kind, and I just don't know how that happens, but they get so angry at me, and they scream and holler and do all kinds of things, and it's okay. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I know this is for them, not me. If I get angry at their anger, then I know there's a lesson there for me as well. It's not just their lesson, it's mine. But as long as it's just their lesson, I don't feel a thing. I'm just neutral. And I can go, thank you for sharing that, which is a phrase that I use often. And it's very neutral. Thank you for sharing that. You know, I'm sure that you feel that way. And so it doesn't engage, it doesn't do fire. But if they're upset, it'll make them really, really, really even more upset. And I don't do it for that reason. It's just that it's called a broken record. You need, when people are in that active attack mode, you need something to say where you don't have to react to it. It's like a go-to phrase that you say without having to think, because if you have to take and look for something new to say, then what will happen is you'll start feeding their fire. So by saying, thank you for sharing that, blah, 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 thank you for sharing that, blah, 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 thank you for sharing that. You don't have to do any work, no energy from you at all, because you're just going to say the same thing. So it could be something like, yes, I understand. Yes, I understand. But
That's what I
just
was
something,
saying.
okay,
Yeah.
just something that doesn't require any thought process and doesn't buy into their hostility. And then you move through it much quicker. It's a very powerful tool. It's called the broken record. It's actually something.
That makes sense. You keep saying, I understand,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Or this must upset you a lot. This must upset you a lot. You know, if I'm feeling very brave, I will say, and tell me how you got to this point. Tell me what your thinking was that got you to that point. Because what happens is if you ask them that question, they have to back up and go, well, how did I get there? And they have to create this lineage from where they were to where they are now. And it completely takes them out of their anger. But it can also cause them to flip out and go crazy. So you got to be real secure with that one.
Yeah.
Then I had a friend who got very, very drunk. And when she got very, very drunk, she started literally attacking me for being the worst thing since the devil. And I said, you know, tell me how you got to that point. What happened? And she was like, but it completely took her out of her space. And as she started telling me what was going on in her head that got her there, it's like, oh, that's interesting. But I didn't have to argue or fight. And plus she was drunk. There's no way you can argue and fight with a drunk person. So anyway, but good tools to have in your toolbox.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
And we did have a comment about the voice, which I thought was fun.
Okay.
From Mofiaso.
Okay. Hi.
Mafioso. Just kidding. Mafioso. I've been practicing.
I'm never going to get it straight anyway. So cancel.
I do my best because I like to get it right. Your voice is your hologram. It contains everything about you. Both you have very lovely, soothing voices that make people feel like they are getting hugged when you speak. So sweet.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And then, interesting, you should say that, he put in quotes, is also confuses them because they start wondering why you said that. Well, and that's the thing I find even in sales, like people want to fight with you. And so they start with a question that they know you're not going to agree with. Like I remember, like if you sold a competitor, they'd be like, oh, so basically be like, what do you think about this machine, you know, or this car versus the opposite kind of deal. And I'm like, oh, it's great. And they're like, they just don't know how to take me in because I'm like, they're both great. They're just different. And then they're kind of open, like, what do you mean they're different? And I'm like, oh, well, this is how they're different. This is this, this is this, this is this, this is that. And I just say it very statistically, not like one's good or better, but that's one of the reasons I was a top salesperson is because I feel I didn't cause the problem of trying to fight it. I just like, yeah, you're right. It is a great machine. They're like, it totally takes them off their high horse rocker. I don't know. There need to be whatever. And it's just like, yeah, it is. It's great. And then they're like, oh, well, they're being honest. I'm like, yeah, I've had it. I grew up with that machine, or, I grew up. It's like, it's the truth. So anyhow.
So be it.
Yeah. And one of the things I found today that I can feel a lot of stuff unfolding. I feel like we're just in the beginning, but I was shocked that my body, my legs literally are shaking. Just standing, I'm like shaking. So it's interesting that my body feels like it's taking on so much stress that I don't necessarily feel is mine, but it's interesting how the physicality is so affected.
Well, you think about if you've made a fist and held that fist for a long time, there would be ramifications. There'd be results of it, and your muscles wouldn't work as well. Yesterday, being a very stressful day for many, many people, when they stay in that energy, they may not feel like they're tightening their body, but they are. Their muscles are being micro tightened, so that today was sort of like letting them go, and your body was feeling very overworked. Yesterday, we and I say we collectively, it may not have been each person individually, but there were many, many people who held a lot of the stress. And it was like they didn't breathe. They're like, oh, what's going to happen next? And so today is just letting it go and relaxing and letting it be. And that's really important. But whenever you catch yourself in that state, immediately just go to those deep breaths and letting it go. Yay.
Yay.
Any other questions out there in the peanut gallery?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Some comments, but
okay.
No questions yet. Sonia, do you have a question? You look like you have a question.
No, no questions. Not
Comment?
yet.
Okay. It'll be a short evening then. This is the game.
Well, the other thing is I found too, like listening to the Leo King, David Palmer, it's fascinating that he's been calling all this since 2018 because it's all in astrology. And so I thought that was really fascinating to hear why and how it's all going on between the planets, between this and this is truth and this is lies. And they're, basically the next 3 weeks is very much about things that you will never be able to predict happen. And it's all about truth and deception.
And we will talk about it on Sunday because that's our political day.
And for
okay.
Those of you that are joining or new, feel free to message Heather at heatherharder.com. Yes. You can go to her website, heatherharder.com, and email us through there as well. And she's going to be doing, our host, of course, is the same time as Thursday, only on Sunday. She's going to be doing political conversations, also joined with spirituality. So kind of a being called to speak about things. So as of now, we'll be doing that on a Zoom as well as probably going live.
But be prepared that we may change platforms when I get smarter.
Well, not smarter, more technically advanced.
Not smarter.
Different.
I don't mind. I love learning. So unless there's always room for growth, then so be it. That's the Zoom number for Sunday night at
Yeah. 4 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Central.
Yeah, I can't change it.
You can just write it in. There you go. And if you are on here and you're feeling inspired and called, I was led to redo a 4-week mini master course for the feminine. And it's going to be a mix of different things and practices, but ideally it is about stepping up into your empowered goddess self. It is balance between the mind, body, and spirit. and connecting from our soul into the divine. And I will be teaching some tantric principles, practices, and really tapping into our body so that we can embody our fullness together. So if you'd like to join me, I think we're going to move it to Sundays. I have 2 more people I need to talk to see if Sunday works. But I had someone request to move it to Sunday, and the day before, last night, I was thinking, I think this is supposed to be Sunday thing. So I feel like it's actually going to be Sundays. So please reach out to me. You can go to my website. It's going to be live on Zoom when we do the class. And I also have it, if you're watching it on, I have a post about the class. If you go to my website, stacyharder.com. It's also, I believe, in my thing. So you can always go there, and there's more information about the class as well. And we'll be doing some chakra clearing and healing and all kinds of things. I'm going to do my best to get you 4 weeks to step into 2021 into the most yummy deliciousness of who you are.
Okay.
Just want to say that. And class is 111 to 222, depending on your donation scale /
Okay.
4 weeks.
Okay.
Okay. I'm definitely just like, whoo, I'm still learning how to completely surrender. I feel like the Capricorn in me is so used to having a plan, and she loves having dates. And
Not just a plan, you have control issues.
well, yes, that too.
Okay.
Well, I've come a long ways with that.
You've come a long ways.
Yes, but I'm human. so I
Good, better, best. Never let it rest till your good is better and your better is best. I'm having all these, I've been cleaning out my garage and going through all my files. I'm finding all these early childhood files. And so all my little early childhood songs and things are in my brain. So you get to be the recipient of them tonight. So much wisdom.
Mafioso says, how deep do you feel this? I might not be saying this word right. Hegelian, Hegelian. Dialectic, behind what's going on goes.
Tell them to use little words. I'm talking early childhood here.
I don't know. Is that the word you're Hegelian dialectic? I don't even know what that means.
You still got to use little words.
Behind.
Our language is such that we have so much misunderstanding. And when people create a new program, they got to create a new language to make it sound like it's something new. And so we have all these words and things banted around that I don't admit to anything until I know what they're talking about with the words. So with littler words, it's a little easier to break down. But I love that famous quote from our President Bill Clinton, who said, I can't answer that question until I know what is. So it's the same thing. If I don't know what the word is, I can't answer the question. Very important. Anybody else have questions that I
just say thank you for reminding us to play, Mom. That's one of the things I really appreciate you, is you're playful through things. At the time, I used to be a little embarrassed when we'd be out shopping or whatever, and and I'm like, oh my gosh. I love it now. Just saying, I honor you. Thank you.
I'm gonna see if I can find my quote in my book.
Mayfer's laughing at us.
Hi, Mayfer.
No questions. I'm amazed by the no questions tonight.
That's okay.
Who is Mafioso? They're amazing.
He is.
He uses too big of words. Bring it down.
He's a brilliant man who's been joining us on IG, and
So he's man. I thought he was masculine. He's awesome. He's great.
He is. He's incredible, brilliant.
connected, otherworldly.
Stuff he says, sometimes I'm like, whoa, yes, yes,
I-
yes.
I'm
you.
good. I'm reading from Many Were Called, Exploring Life's Last Frontier, The World of Death, Dying, and Letting Go, which actually is the most uplifting of my books, but it has a very dark cover, which I didn't design, and it has a very serious looking cover. So with that, first I'll talk about humor. It says humor is the oil of human emotions. Emotions have been described as the results of one's reality bumping into the reality of another. Humor is a way of looking at those emotions in a lighter way. It allows you to learn from the experience and facilitate growth, while pure emotions can often hamper growth. Even love, as currently understood in Earth, can cause you to get sidetracked from your lesson at hand. Humor helps you to look at and then move through the experience. With humor, you are able to look at it, release the tension or stress, then move on with pleasant detachment. And if you're not watching Awaken with JP, he is hysterical. I love that man. He talks about all kinds of things that are very much truth, sometimes painfully true, but he does it in a way that you think, oh my gosh, you'd have thought of that. I can't imagine looking at life with that degree of creativity. All right, now I'm going to quote from my wonderful book, page 194. Yes, it is important for humanity to learn to play. This shall greatly increase their vibrations and cause their hearts to soar. When humanity began to take life so seriously, they put aside their childish play and denied their inner child, which is their spirit self. As they again awaken the sleeping child, they must again allow the child to explore, to investigate, and to enjoy. It sounds so easy. It is not, for one must ignore all society's rules and race against time in order to allow play to find a place in one's life. But humanity will not be free until they are free to play. This is the part of your Earthian, speaking of me, your Earthian teachings. So continue on and share the word, and the word is play. So just allowing yourself to have playful fun in the planet.
What the world needs now.
That's not play.
Love and play. I was gonna change it.
Oh, okay.
I was adding words to it.
Okay. All right.
So we have the rest of the question.
Okay.
So
Did you rewrite it with little words?
He said Hegelian dialect is basically when they are playing both sides against each other to achieve what they want, no matter who wins.
Called manipulation. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of what's going on right now really is about keeping everybody busy watching this kind of stuff, because over here some big things are happening. And so just recognize when everybody's trying to get your attention on one thing, that's not where you need to focus on. There's something else behind the scenes, and being open to that is very important.
Isn't it ironic that nobody got to see the information about the polls and the election stuff? That was fascinating that no one got to see what was being said.
Well, again, it's all part of the grand game. So
yeah, and that's the key, is just to pray to know truth. As we began, ask for protection, guidance, and to know truth. Aho.
Okay.
I notice myself getting into politics, so I have to like intentionally.
I think you should get in politics. I think you should be running for office.
I'm thinking about it, but
that's a Sunday night conversation.
Yeah, but I also have so much to learn, so I'd have to surround myself with people who are very knowledgeable, because my brain
can help.
No, student government in college, I was like, the terms, it's just too technical. Like, why can't you just? So I have to get down all those protocols.
Okay.
How it works.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Anybody want to sprinkle then?
Sprinkles.
We'll just quit. We'll quit early. 6, 7. We've already been an hour and a half. That isn't early. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It feels early, but it's an hour and a half into this already. That's amazing.
What is time, Mom? Put a place of being.
Okay.
So who wants to start with sprinkles? And by the way, if you're new, a spirit sprinkle, I'm gonna let Mom define because she doesn't like my definition. So what is a spirit sprinkle, Mom? It's not a reading.
It's not a reading. It's just a spirit message. I stay connected to the universe, and as you said, your energy is very much apparent in your voice. And so by listening to your voice and listening to my friends, then I get a little message. It's not a consultation that goes forever. Josie sometimes gets lost in her questions, so we have to cut her off periodically and say, no, just a sprinkle, not a full course meal. But it's just whatever is apparent. And because your energy has so much information, as he said, it's a hologram of everything you are and everything you have or have been, everything about you and your journey through this planet and all planets, because we didn't necessarily originate on this planet, and we've been through lots and lots of planets, and it's all in your energy. So with the spirit sprinkle, you say your name, I hear your name, I feel your energy, and you ask a question, and then depending on what comes through, it can be anything.
And
No promises.
I feel this is important to add, so I'd like to just take 2 minutes to add this. So in my masterclass, I will talk about a little stuff with trauma as well, and how to move through it with your body, and also how to turn on your life force energy. But one of the things I find I naturally do, because I've learned a lot of things, if you find you're in a traumatic response, because I do feel it is intentionally being created within us. So one of the things that I recommend also is this is just one of many, but this is like a little butterfly. And you can
What did that have to do with my sprinkles?
Because I feel like this is important to say before you start sprinkling, because you don't like
Why?
because a lot of people are processing trauma, and I just wanted them to know, like, doing a couple things like this is just a nice way to soothe your energetic body, parasympathetic nervous system, to calm it down. So I just felt that this is an important thing to share. You can do little squeezes, but this is actually activating both the left and right side of your brain. And then again, you can play with it. You can do the downward strokes, but this is called havening. But just this simple thing, you can do it yourself, really helps if you find yourself in a stress place. And then just breathe. Take nice, slow, deep breaths in and slow, deep breaths out. And I naturally kind of rock as well. It's just a simple thing to help release. If you are feeling anxiety and stress in your body, I do recommend this practice.
And if you set your intention for being in balance, whatever you feel like you need to do, then do. I mean, because your body will guide you if you're just open to receive. So those are great techniques, but your body may guide you to do something else, and that's important as well. So if I see everybody rocking to one of my spirit sprinkles, I'll know that they're getting traumatic exposure. So, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Mafi said one thing too is C7. If you take the palm of your hand and put it over the C7, which is that spine area, when you're talking about stress stuff too, it helps less trauma come back. So
how about if we just do a session on releasing trauma sometime?
Through my body. So see, this is why I said that, Kristen. So thanks. See, I just felt like I needed to say that. So thank you for allowing me this 2 minutes, Mom.
No problem.
Go back to your spirit sprinkles.
Okay.
And if you are wanting a spirit sprinkle, you do.
See, Trina has to leave. She was the first to wiggle her hand, and she has to leave. So okay. Trina, do you want to sprinkle before you go, or are you on your way?
She wants a sprinkle.
Yeah, I'll take one. I guess my son's like almost here. I didn't know he was coming. So whatever you want to advise me, what I need to hear.
No, I'd rather have you ask a question, but okay, just say your first name and then ask your question, which then sort of acts as a target or focus. So go ahead.
So Trina, and whatever guidance I need right now for this next week. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's kind of a cop-out, but I'll take it. First of all, you're in a pretty good space. So you're you've moved through all your big bumps and stuff pretty easily, and you don't have any big things facing you when we're looking specific this incoming week. Toward the end of the week, you're going to start getting into some big life lessons, and it's like you're going to initially go into, oh my gosh, I failed, or oh my gosh, I slid back. No, the universe is just saying you're ready for the next big lesson. So when this next big hoopla hits for you, don't take it personally. Just see it as, the universe giving you your next lesson, your next ladder to climb, and move through it with as much grace as you've moved through in the last week or so. You really have not had any big traumas this past period of time, even though lots of strange things are going on the planet. You've been, pretty comfortable with it all. So congratulations.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. So,
So when
Stacy, remind me of that when I start to freak out. I'm kidding.
This is when
Well,
when it hits, you just go, time for my next big lesson.
And that's, I think, the importance too of creating your tribe, creating your friendships. Like, y'all know my number. Like, reach out if you need. We all need.
Well, and just recognize that we're in the process of moving into fifth dimension, where there's only one tribe, and we're all a part of it. So if you're making little tribes, and sometimes that's breaking apart the big tribe. So be mindful. Just do it intentionally.
And I love.
Enjoy your sun.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did you?
Kristen said, I feel like I needed to hear that as well because she had chills going on. And so I just want to remind everybody, because this is inspired coming through spirit, a lot of times these messages are for you as well. And chills to me is your body's way of saying this is important, pay attention. Yes, this is for you as well. So I love that and know that that's why it's here.
Okay.
Anna got on from
And so Christina, I see Christina's hand next.
Oh,
So,
hi.
Hi, hold on a second.
Yeah, sure.
if you are on the Zoom, you know how to raise your hand. If you don't, open the conversation and the participants, and you'll see in the middle there's a little blue thing on the left that says raise your hand.
They're all different, love. I was looking for it too. My blue hand is in participants. I meant to tell you that last time. Every device is different, I think.
You have an iPad, right?
Yes.
I'm the old kind. This is fine for me.
Yay, and I love that.
Okay. Christina, go ahead.
Okay. My name is Christina, and I was wondering for the first time today, what species am I? Am I from a certain planet? I know
What
it's so
species
small.
are you?
Not species, but
Look at your body, and you have one. Therefore, you're human, and this is the
Right.
only one that counts. We have been through many, many, many lifetimes of lots of different things, and is part of our growth. So we've taken many forms, because our true form is just a formless consciousness. Like we would say, the divine. The divine isn't a species. It isn't it's just a consciousness. And that's what we all are. And we broke apart from the consciousness, and we said, oh, I think I'm going to go be a rock, and I think I'm going to go be a tree, and I think I'm going to go be a bumblebee, and I think I'm going to go be a human, and I think I'm going to go become a Martian. And we had different lifetimes, different planets teach different lessons.
this is new to me. The planetary aspects, this is like a new thing, a new concept for me. It is. I don't know why.
Well, you must have been absent on the day we talked about this, because we have
no,
talked about
oh
it.
no, not with you, but I mean in general in my life. Like this year is the first year I actually knew that. Like, so that's why.
I'm sort of boxed in. I'm a nester. And so I have myself boxed in, but I want to just get outside the box enough to get an example. So hold on a second.
Okay.
Oops, forgot I'm plugged in.
About 1-2 seconds too late for her to hear me.
Yeah, planetary
Okay.
aspects are totally.
Gotta hook back up again.
I mean, yes, I can understand that. I
Right?
mean, I'm so I've been growing up with a lot more unique conversations than most probably. And so
Yeah.
same for her too. She's very new. Perfect. So, Chris, one thing I want to do while Mom's getting ready. This is her first.
I'm
book.
ready.
Hang
Yeah.
on. It's called Viewer Chosen. It's the story of Mother Earth and Earth-based volunteers, and it's how and why we got to the planet. This she wrote over 30 some years ago. You can get it on her website as well. You can order on Amazon, but I've known people to pay twice the price on Amazon, and it doesn't go to Mom. So reach out. I have.
And in there, I talk about the planets are our schoolhouse, and that we're at Schoolhouse Earth right now, and it's the most one of the most complex planets because you're using everything simultaneously, and every thought you're having is creating your next experience. So it's a very, very complex planet, and which is why we're all here to rescue it, because it's at jeopardy of being lost. But there are lots of different planets, and many, many years ago, I had this experience, and this is about the planet, what I would call my home planet. It was the first planet I was incarnated in. Like I was born in Tennessee, so I always have like an affinity to Tennessee. That was my home state. I live in Indiana right now, but you have gone through lots of incarnations. When I was in Sedona, we all know Sedona is the land of the crazies. This was an outfit. I don't know if you can see it. It was like a t-shirt top, and which I pinned all together, and then it had tight legs. Something I would never have worn. I was walking around this dress shop with a friend, and it fell at my feet. I was maybe 3 feet away from it. I wasn't even close. It fell at my feet. And I walked around, and it fell at my feet again. I picked it up, put it up, walked around again, not even close. It fell again. And I'm thinking, okay, this thing is calling me because it's Sedona. Everything is a message. So I bought this outfit, took it home, and thought, well, I'll give it to my daughter. She'll wear it, because it was not something that I would wear. The slinky, tight, t-shirty kind of thing. And it was like, oh my gosh. So I got home. I said, look, Carrie, what I bought for you. And she had it in her lap, and she actually liked it. She had it in her lap, and then she threw it across the room. She goes, that thing's alive. What is it? And I said, oh, okay. So as I played with it, because I knew it was very significant, I just bought a frame to put it in. And I'm going to find an artist who can make me a tree with roots and stuff, so it'll become something that goes on some wall. Anyway, and what it was is this planet that I was incarnated on was where you learn discernment. I'm very good with discernment, and apparently I've spent a lot of lifetimes there. But it's all just colors. There was no form. There's every point of consciousness was a color, and with each thought, with each decision you made, it changed colors. So it was like this huge tie-dye planet. Everything was different shades, different colors, different meldings of it, but it was just vibration. And that this is a postcard from my home planet.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But there's planets where you just learn love. It's just unconditional love. There are planets where you just deal with anger. There's planets where you have everything you can imagine. Earth is never a planet you come to as your first incarnation. That it is a place where you come when you're a very advanced soul. No matter who's on this planet, what their role in, the homeless guy on the corner is an extremely advanced soul just to be here, because every thought he thinks, every action he takes changes his reality. So he's constantly having to adjust to this new reality, and it's not an easy planet for anybody. We all know that the suicide rate's going up and up and up now on the planet. There are more people in Japan that died from suicide than died of COVID. But we're not talking about it, and it's because it's a very complex planet. It's like, I'm out of here. I just want to be done with it. I don't want to deal with this anymore. And so people jump out. The trouble is when you jump out, you're required by universal law to jump back in and go through everything you've gone through already plus one. So suicide is never an accurate exit, but many people are, because it's tough. This is not for the sissies. This is for the I can do this. Let me jump out of the plane. Let me, you know, tackle the tiger. You know, we can do this. So, what was your question? I forgot your question.
I love you. Okay, so I don't know, just the thought today came to me at like, what planet do I resonate most with?
Not relevant. I
Not
mean,
really.
for me to do that, I would have to go back into your pure energy, and then I would have to sort of compare it with all the different planets out there, and there's zillions. I mean, we know about the ones in our solar system, but we are just one of a zillion solar systems. It's not worth the effort for me. It just takes too much brain power. You'd have to pay me a large sum of money
I
for me
love
to
it.
go and investigate that. And truly, it's not important. You just,
Right.
it's what are you doing today? What are you doing with? How are you maximizing this lifetime? How are you living your mastery now? That's important.
Very.
And had I not been forced to look at this planet, I would never have thought about my home planet. But the universe wanted me to get the postcard from home.
Okay, can I ask another quick question then? Really
Oh,
quick?
sure.
Okay,
We'll call you
what
Josie.
call me Josie. It's a compliment. Love her. Okay, so what state do you see me moving to next on this planet?
Again, those are questions I don't like because and Stacy will tell you, I often don't answer her questions because those are free will questions.
Yeah.
And if I were to say Alaska, because you're vested in me and what I say, you go and move your ass to Alaska. I don't want to be responsible for your life. I don't want to tell you, should you divorce your husband? I don't want to tell you where you need to move because that puts too much responsibility for your life on my shoulders. And that doesn't feel comfortable. Stacy would very much like to abdicate a lot of her decision making to me and say, Mom, what about this? And how do I do this? And it's like, you got to live your own life. You know what, it's if something is important there, I'll share it with you, but I am not going to micro manage your life just because I could. And that's the same thing with you. You have to decide what feels best, to see what energy feels most compatible. What are you looking for? What's your criteria for moving? Where do you want to go and why? And then you begin to play with the different energies. Even though I'm from Tennessee, I did a lot of spiritual investigation to sort of see if that was where I wanted to resettle. And there were a lot of criterias I used. It wasn't okay, tell me where I go. And if you've got a spiritual helpers that just dictate every action you take, fire them and get different spiritual helpers because they will not take away free will. If they're micromanaging your life through everything you taste and do and be and whatever, they're not serving you. They will support you in your life and your life decisions. But if they're dictating them, then you can be sure they're not from the highest source.
I understand.
So sorry, babe, that one's on you. You got to decide. But I can help you think through that to make a wise decision. You know, but you have to sort of do the old-fashioned work. What are your criteria? What are you looking for? What are you wanting? And then see if the energy of this new potential place is compatible with the energy of what you want. And that I can help you just define, but I won't answer your questions. When I owned the bookstore, I had lots of readers and people come into the bookstore that did all kinds of practitioners of different psychic arts. And I literally watched these people who were human in every way, which means fallible, tell people they should divorce their husband or they should do that or they should do that. And these people came out and did it. And it's like, my God, it's, literally get a life. You don't let someone else make these very important decisions for your life. I'm blessed to know lots of psychic people. I love getting their information, but I would never take it as carte blanche to act on it. I take it as I would any other information. I take it in as advisement, and that's an interesting perspective, and then I go. But I've seen too many people who just absolutely follow it carte blanche, and that's not healthy.
No.
Nobody knows your life.
You're right.
Internal motivation is empowerment. So, and there's lots of techniques for doing that. So
When I come up with ideas, then we can go through
yeah,
them.
why are you wanting to move? What are you looking for? What's your motivation for moving? And then you can also take a map and literally run your hand over them, and there'll be places that heat up, and you tell the universe, let me feel the place that's most comfortable for my energy, that will help me grow to my best. So there's lots of ways of investigating it.
And you can
But-
also do too, like over a map.
Yeah, pendulums work, various dowsing techniques. There's all kinds of ways of doing it, but you've got to first set your criteria. What are you looking for? What do you want?
I know what I want, but for another conversation. We'll do-
Okay, another conversation.
yeah. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes.
You don't have to have one, by the way. It's
There's
just
2 questions.
the
or-
Josie's hands up, so Josie's going.
And then also, Mom, there's a question that I actually really do want to have you answer.
Okay. Well, after Josie, we can ask your question. Okay, Josie, ask your question. Okay, you're muted. Yeah, unmute yourself.
I almost knocked over the camera. Okay, my name is Josie, and I'm wondering if I will be working this year with people that I want to be working with. Helping people. Helping people. How's that?
Okay. When you say people I want to work with, that implies sweet, kind, loving people, but those are often not our teachers. Our teachers are often people who bump into us and give us more challenges that cause us to grow, to reflect, to look at, to dig deeper. And so, yes, you're going to be working. Yes, you're going to help people, but you're also going to be working with people that you find troublesome, that you find challenging, that you find that wouldn't be on your top 10 list to work with, but they're going to be teaching you a lot, because you're going to see how you've changed in how you deal with them and how you work with them and what they're mirroring back for you. You've chosen a lot of tough life lessons. This next period is going to be seeing the mirror of how other people have chosen tough life lessons, so that you can begin to choose easier. But you have to see it present in others, and those tough life lessons often make people tough. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah, just a little unsure about the I have to see for me in them.
no, you're going to get ticked off at them, and then you're sitting listening to them and listening to yourself, and because we oftentimes will rationalize and make up stories in our head about them and what they're doing and why, how I feel is justified because of what they're doing. When you hear yourself doing that, just take the time to go deeper and ask yourself, what are they reflecting back at me? What is it that they're teaching me? Why am I having this reaction to them? Those types of questions will cause you to see it, but it doesn't happen just automatically.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
But it's going to
Good.
be a very productive year, primarily because you've stopped the struggle. You stopped the fighting. You're now
Yes.
just sort of going, okay, I can handle this. I can get through it. And so it's almost like you've surrendered to the process. You're going to get a lot more lessons, but they're going to be much different than the lessons you would have gotten, say, 5 years ago.
Yeah, I can see some things manifesting too. And I was like, wow, I gave up on that. And it's happening. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. We can learn the hard way. We can learn the easy way. You've done all the hard ways. This now is going to be going into the easy ways.
Yay. Oh, thank you.
I didn't
Thank
do it. You
you.
did it.
Thank
So you're welcome.
Oh my gosh. I'm so happy. Thank you.
All
I
right,
love you all.
Stacy, ask your question.
All right. What is your opinion of drop-ins?
What is it?
What's your opinion of drop-ins? We've talked about this.
What's
When
drop-ins?
drop-in, when you drop in,
Oh, walk-ins.
walk in, drop in, yeah. So
I've never
spirit.
heard of drop-ins.
Okay, I've
So,
heard.
okay, walk-ins. Okay.
It's spirits that drop into a body that's abandoned by the spirit that was initially incarnated in the body. For example,
I know what they.
just before a fatal car accident, the spirit leaves the body and another drops in, and then the person completely changes, divorces their husband, their personality changes, etc. It's
They also leave their body and get killed because oftentimes that they've left their body before the physical body is actually dead. I had a friend who died in a car accident, and the gas tank exploded, and it was a fire that killed them, but there was no smoke in their lungs, so they were dead before the impact, which is kind of interesting. Okay. I'm going to give you what I've been given and what I know to be truth based on my spiritual contacts. It is not a prevailing truth, and I may piss people off. But what I've been told is if you're walk-in, generally a walk-in does not want to be identified, does not identify themselves. If someone claims to be a walk-in, there's a good chance they aren't. So, if you have gone through a trauma, people talk about going through a near-death experience and coming back and being a totally different person. There's a lot of life experiences that can shake you up and truly change everything about you, but that is not a walk-in. A walk-in is where one soul leaves and then another soul occupies. And it's a very intentional switching, almost like a costume. If an understudy of a play takes the part while a main actor is not available, they wear the same costume, but they're still a very different person, and they do it in their own way. But if someone is saying I'm a walk-in, they probably aren't. That a walk-in would never want to be recognized as a walk-in.
Wait, does that mean we could know people that are gone but are in the same body as?
It's not a common occurrence. It's usually when someone has a much bigger mission. And so again, everything is by choice. And this is a very complex planet. But let's say I'm here to change the world. But going through that baby stuff and going through this parenting and going through adolescence, not fun. So I'm not going to do that, but I'll come in and change the world. So I have an understudy take care of the body during that initial period. And then at some point we switch out bodies. So then I step in and change the world where this other person was there holding the space for that body. So that's a walk-in. And I've seen and heard people when I want to slap them really hard when they do it, but I've had heard people calling in walk-ins to come into their body, especially like in Aliens. And it's like, you don't even have any clue what you're asking for. So it's a very dangerous behavior, but there's all kinds of circumstances that may make it necessity. I had a friend. She was a beautiful, powerful, this statuesque, almost like a movie star kind of beautiful Black woman. And she was smart and she was powerful and she was intelligent. And to make a long story much shorter, she decided she was out of this planet. She had gotten so far off her spiritual path, and because she was a fighter and she was always fighting for everybody else's battle. She was the president of the university's union. She was always in some kind of turmoil with somebody because she was fighting the right fight. But she got off of her initial plan. So she exited the planet. She died. She could have had someone come in if she wants to leave the planet and someone else says, hey, I can use that body to do what I need to do. Someone else could have taken over that body and she could have come out of that medical malady and done what her original plans are. She would have changed everything she'd been doing earlier, and she would have done something different. But in her case, she just went home. So she didn't have a walk-in. But that's the kind of circumstances that often happen preceding a walk-in. But it can be, you go to bed and you wake up in the morning and all of a sudden somebody's very different. If you've ever had a true, and I find that they're very rare from my experience, but a true trans channeler, that's what they do. A trans channeler will vacate their body and let someone else come in and move their mouth and move their throats and move their vocal cords and speak for them and through them. But it isn't that person. They go off like into a waiting room and wait for them to finish using their body, and then they come back and that body leaves. If you're around a true trans channeler and you really monitor the energy, it's day and night. Person A has one completely different kind of energy than person B. And it's very hard on the body. A true trans channeler that's not just pretending to be a trans channeler can only do a couple sessions a day, a couple, 3 times a week. Otherwise, they just fry their body. It's like putting a 220 electrical line into a 110 outlet. It's really hard on the physical structure because you're just energetically shifting it very abruptly. But it's the trans channeler and the new soul came in to make it talk, to animate it. Well, this person was in the waiting room and they said, well, I'm not leaving. I'm here for good. That would be a walk-in. But it's always in cooperation. Someone, unless that person gives permission, no one else can come in and take over your body.
Riveting. Thank you.
You're welcome. Stacy, does that answer all parts of that question?
I think so. And there's a couple more things, but isn't it my understanding that our body is calibrated just for us and our life lessons? Like
We've created, it's
like a computer program. Like a Mac app will only work with the Mac. An app, Droid.
No, it's more of a recycled energy. If you take all the plastic bottles for water and you recycle them, you've got a new form, but it's the same chemical essence of the original plastic bottles. It's recycled. Our physical structure is a recycled of all of the physical structures that we've had. If I come in again in next lifetime as a man, a 6'6" man with red hair, it'll be a reformation of this body, but it'll just be a new form.
Right.
And so that's why our body carries all the unresolved emotional issues that we have not addressed, we have not healed. But it's still the same body structure in a new form. And no one else can take it over unless we give permission. Like I can give you permission to drive my car, but you can't just come and take my car and use it without my permission, because I'd have you arrested. And so spiritually, it's the same kind of analogy. Someone can come and take over your body, but you've got to give permission. Sometimes we give permissions without realizing it. We have the Ouija boards and possessions and those kinds of things, but a walk-in has to have a full agreement. It's a very specific kind of connection.
And so for me, I don't really know how or why, but I do feel like it's programmed individually, reconnected through us. Like we are the main operating system. It's our soul. So it's okay. So do you want to do the next? Oh, she's not on anymore. She had her hand raised for a sprinkle.
Who's that?
Anna.
Oh, bye, Anna.
So I was saying,
Do you have any other questions? That's okay. It's all right.
I won't say her name for privacy, but I'm just sending you extra love.
I think Sonia raised her hand.
Perfect. She's saying, I've been offering mine lately to the spirit guides because she's tired of being of this planet. So
who's that?
A special friend on.
That's a special friend online. Quit it. You're here to do your job. You can't abdicate your job and relieve yourself of that by just saying, here, use my body, I'm done with it. That's sort of a spiritual suicide. You got to come back, go through everything you've gone through plus one. So just get over it. You're here. You made a commitment. You can do it. If we need to have a conversation, we can. But I'll kick your ass. It doesn't work that way.
Okay. Well, and I think that's important. Yes, reach out to mom.
That's a spiritual kick in the ass. It's much different than a regular kick in the ass.
Okay. And then there's a question on something else you said, but I don't know if you want to finish the spirit sprinkle first.
No, go ahead, because you really blew my concentration.
Well, Esme was asking a question on, because you had mentioned about suicide. And so she had a question that, I'll go back. So she was curious about that because her cousin committed suicide. And she remembers you saying that they come back to go through lessons again. And she asked if you could explain that more.
All right. First of all, with someone who's committed suicide, the best thing you can do, the most helpful thing you can do is just to thank them for what they've done, acknowledge where you've learned from them, where you've experienced them. They need to hear good things about their life, because usually someone who's committed suicide, they feel worthless. They feel like failures. And so with anybody who's died, it really does help to sit and talk about their successes, their pluses. I learned my patience from you. I learned this from you. Just talking about those things can be very helpful. And so with your cousin, and I find to concentrate the energy, I write a letter. I literally physically write them a letter. My mother didn't commit suicide, but when she died, I write a thank you letter and all the things that I appreciate about her and all the things I learned from her, and the same thing with my father. When someone's committed suicide, they're already in a dark place. So talking about it, and I talk about it in the book, Exploring Life's Last Frontier, they may go through different kinds of experiences based on what they're ready for, but they will have to come back. They may go through a long period of meditation, sort of a reflective time before they come back. They determine, it's not punishment. It's not like, oh my God, you're a bad girl, so now you got to go back to Earth. Earth is never a punishment, but it will be an opportunity of meeting whatever they fail to meet in this go round. So with your cousin, for instance, I don't know the circumstances of his death. I don't know the circumstances of his life, but those kinds of things can give you hints. Just taking and sharing, the cheerleader, you can do this, this is important. And, you have free will, but if you commit suicide, you got to come back and do it again plus one, with the single exception that if you're terminal, and you are worried about causing pain and discomfort, for instance, for the people who are taking care of you, and you kill yourself for altruistic reasons, truly altruistic reasons, there's a different set of circumstances. But if you just kill yourself because you don't want to deal with it, then you got to come back and do plus one. Does that help, Stacey? Am I done with that question?
I think so. I know she just said, I just always tried to be there for him, but he'd be able to talk about whatever bothered him. So I just
oftentimes that can be be there for them, take it, make it easy, is actually what leads to suicide. From my experience, and I've known several people who've attempted or committed suicide, and when we make it very easy, when we make, for our children, I want to take their hardships away, so we sort of make the path easy for them, and we do all the things to keep them from having to do the hard stuff. Then when they do the hard stuff, they can't handle it. So it really is important to let people walk through their own crap. That way, when things get hard, they know how to walk through the crap. So just trust that life was divinely perfect for that person. Her job is to learn from it so that she doesn't repeat those mistakes again. But our job isn't to make someone else's life easier. is, as silly as that sounds, making someone's life easier can be the worst thing you can do. Questions, comments? And you don't have to agree with me. I just get to give you my opinion. You got to decide for yourself what's right. But
Yeah, because you interrupt their free will. And that's right. That's just not.
well, you're also saying, I don't think you're capable of handling this alone. So here, let me do it for you. And so it's undercutting their courage, undercutting their abilities, undercutting their experiences.
Mhm.
And I had a foster daughter who had a loving grandmother who meant well, but my God, everything that child wanted, she got. Everything, every problem, the grandmother took care of it. Well, as she got to be a teenager and beyond, the grandmother couldn't make the things go away, but this kid had never learned to face anything. And I told her that many times while she was with me. And lo and behold, she just did an overdose, which is an easy way of committing suicide. She did an overdose. She couldn't face the world because her grandmother had done it all for her. And her grandmother died, so no longer was she there to write the check or cover the bills, and she couldn't handle life, so she just checked out. So making someone's life easier is not the answer. Being there to emotionally support them while they find their answers can be very helpful. Everybody feels like someone needs to get your back, but you don't want them to take away your problems.
Well, and I think that's a perfect example of a chick hatching from an egg. If we try to make it easy for the chick, we kill the chick. The chick needs to be able to break through from the inside out. If we break it from the outside in, they die. So I think that's a big, being a master of your own bubble and knowing what's yours and not yours, and to be supportive. But I think,
and what your role in it is. I mean, again, when you're watching someone else struggle, it's like, what is your role in this? Don't naturally assume that because I have the answers, my job is to fix it. So even if your daughter Stacy wants you to.
oh, you funny. You funny.
I know. I'm good.
Sure. I just would love the easy button as much as possible. Easy
I
button.
got one.
I
I don't know where
imagine.
it's at, but I've got one.
And going back to that too, like one of the things I would suggest, again, take this with what resonates, but I would suggest, Laura, is ask yourself to ask your guides to assist you. Help me move through this. Let me learn my lessons. Why am I feeling this? What am I learning from this? How am I growing? And literally switch the wording to say, help me move through this. Let me let go of the pain. Let me let go of the guilt. Let me move through the shame. And then you replace it. And so it's about choosing the right words. But we have a whole team there to help us. But because you have to will, you have to ask.
Okay. All right, it's 8:08 and the president is giving a presentation right now. So anybody else have any quick questions? It's been 2 hours. We've been chit-chatting. Sunday night, 6 p.m. with our Zoom code 831-755-38434. If you want to talk politics, we're going to have an interesting, lively conversation. The more interesting questions you bring, the livelier will be our conversation.
Sonia, do you want to sprinkle?
Sure. I
Okay.
think I really need one. I wanted to join. I wanted to join in on New Year's Day, but it was kind of a rough day for me. So I'm here now.
So when it's a rough day, you don't think you deserve one? You don't want one? What's the connection with a rough day and not getting a sprinkle?
No, today is better. Yeah, today's better. I definitely want one today, but New Year's Day, I just couldn't get it together.
Okay. I'm sure if I dug a little deeper, there's something else there. But anyway, Sonia, the goal is to say your name and ask your question. I'm going to just focus in on your energy.
Maybe I'll do it another day.
Huh?
Maybe I'll do it another day.
See, you're running away from it again. by golly, you're going to do it now because you already asked for it. You can't take back. So just say your name and ask your question. You don't want to avoid, because obviously it's something you want, and we're going to open up and explore it and let Mama Heather just deal. So ask, but I need to have you say your name, just your first name, and then ask your question.
My name is Sonia, and my question is, how I felt on New Year's Day, is that going to linger on through the rest of the year, or?
Okay. There's a story about some kids who picked up a bird and asked a wise man, you know, we've got a bird here. Is this bird alive or dead? And the wise man said, it's your call. If I say it's alive, you can squish it and make it dead. If I say it's dead, you'll open your hands and let it fly away. That you have the power. And I think the same thing as you. The more you think about how you felt that day, the more you think about the circumstances that brought those feelings on, the more you're going to relive that energy. What we think about comes about. And so in this call, we start out with sending the energy and light and love, and people generally feel more balanced and calm after that. Should you think on that and spend time reflecting on that, you'll feel that, because what you think about comes about. So don't think about how you felt New Year's Day. If it was typical of an issue, a lesson, an experience, take that experience and dismantle it. Find the solution or the face that issue, but don't think about how you felt. The felting was simply a matter of the way your soul wanted you to see. This is a big lesson for you. Our emotions always indicate a lesson. The bigger the emotion, the bigger the lesson. The more that emotion is what we would call negative or less than fun, the more that lesson is taking us off our path. Our job is to learn the lesson, get back on our path. If the emotion is joyful and fun and what we would label positive, then that lesson is keeping us on our path, letting us go to our greatness, and that we want to amplify and magnify, follow your bliss. So go back, not to the emotion that you felt. That was just the signal, the siren, but it was indicating a lesson. Look at the situation. And I really big at writing out, because when you're writing, it's an act of creation, and that pulls more spiritual energy into it. So I'm really big on writing. So write out the situation, write out possible solutions, possible ways that you can address it. It's all designed to empower you to go closer, faster to your greatness. We're here to walk on water, raise the dead, do everything Jesus did and more. And so every action, every lesson, everything we do is to teach us how to live our greatness. And what you, if I can be so bold as just to say, you tend to run away from your greatness. You tend to run away from the challenge. You tend to run away from things that don't feel good, which is why you want to back down at even the spirit sprinkle, and why you didn't step up, on New Year's Day. It's not an either or. There are people who had both days they got sprinkles. Be willing to claim, demand, allow yourself to experience whatever it is that you want to experience, and face it. You are bigger than your circumstances. You are more powerful than your circumstances. You are more wise than your circumstances. You haven't really put those into place as much as you could. You tend to back down and almost wither, rather than step up and say, I got this. I got this. So practice saying, I got this. So let's hear it.
I got this.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I got this. And that's a great motto to have. Whatever it is, I got this. I don't know how yet, but I know that I got this. We're just moving through a lot of I got this. There's that one affirmation, and I didn't create it, but I love it. I don't know how I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. All I know is I do, and I'm grateful. And so using that little thing, fill in the blank. I don't know how I'm going to make my mortgage payment this month. I just know I'm going to, and I'm grateful. I don't know how I'm going to, take a rocket to the moon. I just know I will, and I'm grateful. But just using that start, it allows the mind to settle down. It doesn't fight you. And then you're able to move forward with whatever task that you're asking of it. Okay. You've frozen, Chandra, so I assume that you're all in a good shape. So now
We also have a thank you for being vulnerable, because a lot of people get a lot of information from this too. So thank you for.
Oh, my joy. Thank you.
Well, I was saying, Sonia, thank you for being vulnerable. Put yourself out there. And as mom always say, what you resist persists. So, and it's so interesting here. Trauma is stored in our body because we resist overwhelming experiences. And then what you face and experience disappears when you do not resist. There's a couple quotes that's saying here too, which is kind of nice and good reminders. But this is what the human experience is for you to experience things, move through things.
It's why we came. If everything was perfect, we wouldn't come. We wouldn't come here for the easy, breezy, peasy lives.
And
so
I always, when I'm in those dark experiences, I always like to remember, like, as deep as I'm feeling it now, I'm going to be able to feel just as deep in the love and the light that's coming. Like, so the deeper you go within yourself is the deeper you can experience the positive.
Being on a planet of discernment is really easy. There's not nearly as much challenge for it. That's why I didn't go there this time. I came to Earth so I can experience all this shit with everybody else and change a planet, transform a planet. Yay!
Yeah.
Okay.
In the curriculum, I thought that thoughts turns into things. True. Yes, and that's
our things
for about 30 years. So this is just, if you're new to us, thank you for joining. That's I love having y'all. Mayfair, by the way, says, what'd she say? I love your mom.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Well, I have a whole lot of adopted kids, so I can be your mom too.
Oh, look at this. Someone said to our friend who is feeling a little overwhelmed, is that my mindset has done a complete 180 listening to Stacy Harder and Heather Harder. The more you absorb their energy, the more you will feel better. Thanks, Esme. That's so kind.
That's why we do this. We're here to help the planet transform.
Yes.
And so you just have to be open, because the universe will always send you who and what you need as you need it, if you're open to receive it.
And
it's all divinely perfect.
You see me smiling, but my mom sees me crying almost every time I cry. So when I feel emotions, too deep. So it's totally healthy and totally normal to feel, to process, because this is the human experience.
And tears are very important. If you're doing a private session with me, I applaud the tears, because I know that I've hit an important place. So if you have tears that come up, that's saying this is significant. This is an important place, whether it's tears of joy or tears of sadness or tears of pain. It's important to explore that. Keep poking that place until you've understood it and milked it for all it's worth.
Yeah, so I just laughed because someone said truth, I feel that. And then someone else said, Esme said to our friend, so quit it. Because that was your line. So anyways, I started with this.
Well, it used to be, I'd say, build a bridge and get over it. I like that one. I did that a lot. So we spend so much time thinking about things that aren't really important for us. And so build a bridge and get over it.
And I love that she's like, thanks for sharing. And so this is her third time checking this loving, amazing energy. So,
oh,
yeah.
Bring a friend. Okay. So, Alicia, did you want a sprinkle? Are you good, or what would you like?
I'm good. I'm just exhausted after I had all this energy wound up, and after the first part with the meditation. I just like totally relaxed. I'm ready to take a nap now.
I know the feeling. All right, so we'll do our official close now. Don't forget Stacy's class if you're interested in taking the class. Don't forget Sunday night, 6 p.m. Politics. We're going to just talk politics and politics and politics. And for those who don't know, I spent 10 years in the political arena. So I got lots of firsthand experiences, and I'm looking forward to talking about politics and the spiritual role that it plays in our journey now. Many people don't want to talk politics, but politics will have the biggest impact in our lives. So Sunday night, 6 p.m., 831-755-3844, and join us for the conversation.
I will make a flyer, so just keep an eye on my page and on Facebook, and I'll share it with Mom so she can share it. And no, it will be a different Zoom. Don't worry, you don't have to remember writing that down, but it will be on the flyer. We'd love for you to join. And again, if you want to reach out or learn more information, I'm StacyHarder.com, StacyHarder.com. And Heather is HeatherHarder.com.
Not easier, but harder.
I would say not softer, but harder.
Okay. So now I'm going to close.
Okay.
And then after I close, I will hang up because I want you to end with these lovely thoughts, these lovely energies. Let us close in the beauty of peace and understanding. Help us stay open to the gentle whispers of the universe and her teachings. Let love keep us warm, safe, and confident. Assist us to remember the gentle way, the compassionate path, the empowered highway of courage, and our commitment to our road of service. Remind us to stay open to the blessings and joy of our sacred journey and all those in the non-physical who assist us in every way. Until next time, I remain your committed friend and send you loads of love, light, and laughter. Until next we meet. And thank you, Stacy, for co-piloting this lovely experience, and all of you for joining us for this journey. And we'll see you Sunday or next Thursday. Keep smiling on. Till then.